Hey everyone, it's AJ from Pixelize and I'm back with another tutorial to show you how to do a text reveal using GSAP. So I haven't done a tutorial for a while. I had to take some time off, but today I'm going to show you how to do something like this. So this is on my own website. When you scroll, you can see it's pinned to a section. You scroll, you get this little bubble or button or whatever you want to call it, changing the color. And then we see the text on scroll. As I use my mouse scroll, uncovering itself. So we could even use this if you see over here, right? So today I'm going to show you how to do this. If you want to implement this, if you're using GSAP as code, then this will be a perfect example for you to look at the visual elements, because sometimes having a visual elements helps you better to understand how the code works. And then also you could create something like this with vanilla JavaScript. So if you like the tutorial, you could let me in the comments if you know to create with just pure vanilla JavaScript if you're not using GSAP. So what I'm doing today, what I'm using actually today, not doing because I already told you what I'm doing, but what I am using today is Bricks Builder and Bricks Forge, because Bricks Forge has got a GSAP, and that way I could visually show you how to create something. And as well, Bricks Builder is a great Bricks Builder theme for building WordPress websites. So instead of me coding it, I could show you this visually, which it makes it better to understand and clear the concept and so on. So I already prepared something basic, which is I got two sections, you know, because we want to have a good gap. I got two texts over here, so there's a lorem ipsum. A little bit of background, two classes. So text class, which makes sure both texts have the same font size, same font, weight, and so on. And then we have a text light on the first one, and on the second text dark. So we're going to change this. And the container is got a class pin container because we will have to pin it, and also it's set to position relative, as you can see. So what we're going to do, the reason why is because we need to put the text dark into position absolute, and I'm going to show you why. So first, let's go to the light text and just change the color of that text. I believe it's the same as the background, so we're going to just make it a little bit lighter because it has got a cool effect that way. That's perfect. We're going to leave it the way it is, the dark, so we're just going to put it dark, right? Looks good. And what we want to do now is on a text dark class, not on a main class, on the modifier, that's what you call a modifier. We want to set this to position absolute. We want to set it to top 0. And why is that not working? I think it is working. Okay. I know why I got confused, because obviously the color of the text. Anyway, let's just put left. Let's go save and see what that looks like on the front end. Obviously it might take a little bit of while because it's on a local development environment, but as you can see, it's loading up. Just bear with me. We are living in 1990s where computers are very slow. Anyway, you can see that it looks fine for now. And we got another section. Okay, so if you're going to use GSAP, obviously in Bricks Forge, you have it here. So you have to activate the panel. There's a timeline. Come on, buddy. What's going on? There you go. Right, so we're going to create a new folder called text reveal. Don't know if I spelled that correctly, but it's not a English class, so it doesn't matter. Now we're gonna have a dark text, let's call it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to use this on scroll, right? Because when we scroll, we want to activate the timeline. Now the trigger, it's going to be the container itself. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this. Now over here, when it says scroll start and a scroll end, if you look into a GSAP documentation and watch some videos, the top is basically obviously where do you want to start the scroll from. So it will be top of the screen, and the other part is where it should, the top of the screen, activate the timeline. So I'm going to quickly show you. Let me just use the show markers and just put a animation, otherwise we won't be able to see it. So for now, I'm just going to get rid of this. I'd rather explain it to you now before obviously we get into it so you can understand. So I'm going to put center. All right. So the top of this, the top first is the top of the screen. That's what it means. Okay. And I misspelled center. And the center means once the top of the screen hits the center of the container, it will change. It will do something. So let me just do the, for example, background color to blue. Okay, and what we want to do is instead of to, it's from, because from means it starts from the original and then you will change to whatever you want it. It's to, it means it's from original to the new change, if that makes sense. So if we use the timeline, obviously don't worry about this, from, and it will change to, yeah, makes sense, or to, hold on, yeah, that's better, because I'm changing the background. So you can see what will happen. So I want to show you something. So we're going to save, and then we're going to look at this at the front end. Just bear with me on this one, because obviously, like I said, it's local development. You see this? So when the screen, if we scroll, it hits, which is pretty much halfway of the section, right? Did I spell this correctly? I don't think I did. Center. You know what? I'm put 30% from the top. Probably better, because I'm going to show you. Because I want to show you, because for some reason it doesn't feel you actually did the correct thing. Come on, buddy. Ah, you see this? Scroller start. So it's 30% from the top. Okay, so where it activates from the top 30%. So we could do even, I don't know, 40 pixels. Save. I want to quickly show you, because you need to understand this part. Otherwise, whatever animation you want to do is gonna mess up for you. So it's better to understand it at the beginning than at the end. So obviously we can't see because of this, but you can see there's a line here, and this where it will, once it meets, if this is the animation start, basically this refers to this, and the top, when it says top 20%, 40 pixels, it means the screen from the top of the screen, 40 pixels, and it will change, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So let me just get rid of this. So we just want to have a top. We want to get rid of the background. So what also we want to do now is we want to put, to be honest, we don't need to put play and reverse for now, so don't worry about that. What we want to use is pin, and we want to pin the same class, okay, that we trigger as a selection. So when we scroll, it stays there. It won't move until it's finished animation. Now what we want to do here is we want to get text dark. So txt dark, okay, and I have misspelled something. There you go, text dark. What we're going to do as well is set the opacity to 0, right? And we want this from, so it goes from 0 to 1 as opacity. And I'm going to quickly show you how that looks. So let me quickly update this. I just quickly need to put a charger to my laptop, otherwise it won't be good, because you will die halfway through. So bear with me. Technology these days, right? So okay, that's plugged in. So So it's not really pinning yet, you see. So what we need to do is go down, split text, type, characters. We don't want lines or words, we want characters. Okay, and we want to use tagger. The reason why is because split text is, in other words, how do I put it? In other words, it's put into span elements. So it takes the whole text over. If you think of a JavaScript, it takes the whole thing and put individual letters in an array, and then it puts those array into a span and put the span into a DOM, because a span is a inline element. So if you go back into the front end, I'll rather show you step by step so then you can learn on the way. I know it might be lengthy, but at the end of the day, it's for you to learn it. So it pins there, right? And you can see, but what you notice is that they come in after, as soon as you pin, and it triggers the top of it. And it will unpin until the whole thing is finished. So how can you do it where you scroll up and down and it will react to the scroll? So what I'm going to do now, we can scroll back. So let me just make a few changes here. Top, bottom. What I do want in this is a padding, 8 rem. Also, what you want to do to react to a scroll is use scrub. So what scrub means is reacting to a scroll. So let's go, and it should all work fine. So it's just updating. There's something wrong with this, you see. So what we got problem now is actually this element over here. So let's have a look what we got here. Width, min height. Maybe it could be the text itself that is too big. Let's make it 4 rem for now. Is this in the middle? It's in the middle. Let's save it. Let's see what happens. So we still got that issue of, and obviously now they're not in the place either. So let's have a look. 1 and 2. Okay, I see what's going on there. So I'll tell you what the problem actually is. We need to put this in a block. I'll tell you in a second why. 1, 2. So this should be a position relative. We're gonna pin to this. It should be fine now. Come on, buddy. There you go, you see. But what we want to do more over is we actually want to put a bit more than, let's say, 120 rem. 116. Let's have a quick look at every setting. Top. So you want to hit the top of the top. When the top of the screen hits the top of the container, that's where we want to activate it. It's probably the reason why it's probably doing this is because it's my local dev environment, because it's not doing on my other stuff, as you can see. And with local dev environment, there's always a issue. So let's quickly go inspect tools. So that's the start point. It might be the wrong selection actually. Pin container, okay. I want to pin to that container, so it shouldn't be an issue. From opacity, everything seems to be okay. Scrub, everything is fine. I think it's got to do with my local dev environment than anything else. Because you will see in a second. It's like almost it's not pinning to the container. Pin. So it's almost like it's not pinning to the container. So you will come across those bags. Pin container. Leave empty for you, just using pin. Oh, I can't use it. Your class. Dot pin container. Pin spacing, disable. There you go. So the problem that it was sometimes it creates, you could have pin spacing, so you have to look at in the docs, but that will go fixed. So we can now lower down the padding to 8, save, and just like that you have a nice text reveal. Obviously you could change this to words as well, so let's quickly have a look. Charts, words. To be honest, I never tested the words, so it'll be pretty cool to see. Come on, buddy. Jesus, my grandmother runs faster than you. So what it does, it doesn't go for letters, but it goes for a single word, which I don't think that's as good as the characters at this point. But just to recap, because we're coming to the end now, if you want to create a text reveal, then make sure in a container you have a block as well, because you don't want to pin it just in a container. You want to have a container that contains, let's say you could call this a wrapper. So text, let's name it wrapper, and a text wrapper, you put the heading. Now make sure those headings have a text light or dark if you want to have that effect that I have. The text wrapper should be a position relative if you're going to use two texts, and the other should be a position absolute if you want to put one text on the top of the other one. Once you get into a panel or using the code, make sure the trigger is a scroll trigger, and the trigger selector is the container or the element that you want to be trigger the part of it. In this case, we're going to have it as a container because we're going to pin that container as well. So the top, the first value here, top means the first value, to be honest, it could be bottom as well, but the first value, it refers to the screen, and the second value refers to the element. That's probably the best way to remember. Then you have to use pin to pin the trigger element, and you can use markers by putting show markers. Even in code, show markers put turn to true instead of false. Now with a timeline, make sure it's from. Okay, so you select the animation, so that will be your text dark version. You make the change to method from, not to, but from, and opacity to 0. So you go from 0 to 1, in other words. Then you scroll down and you use a use split text, and you select what type, so characters, chars, and stagger. Stagger basically means each element. Okay, so because this text I'm going to show you, there are a span elements as I mentioned before. Has this even updated yet? That span elements, which means all the letters are in a span element, which individual. Come on, buddy. What's going on? How you doing, huh? Oh, come on. Oh, Jesus. See, that span elements. So it means is once this element went from 0 to 1, it will move on to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and so on and so forth until you finish it. It goes forward and backwards. So that's what stagger means basically using each individual element. If you have them in a group, you could color. And then once you have this set up, then remember, if you want to have the effect to react on scroll, whether it is mouse scroll or the bar scroll, you need to use what is called scrub. So if you're using a code, then you use scrub, turn to true, and then the smoothness is with this we have to play the value because the bigger the slower goes, from the top of my head, the smaller the faster. But yeah, that's basically it to do a text reveal. But also what I want to show you quickly is, if you like this one to see the text reveal, I could do a tutorial on how to do a SVG drawing like this. So if you want to see an effect like this, let me know and I can build it up. But hopefully this helps you, and obviously you learn something new. So yeah, let me know in the comments.